Hi, welcome to Inclusive School Culture. My name is Shay McClellan, and I am in my second semester of taking classes for the leadership program. Just a little bit about myself. I have four adopted children. Three of them are now adults. My youngest is a junior in high school, so he is well on his way. Um, my the dog up in the right hand corner, that's Archie. He is my therapy dog and best friend. He is going to school to be a therapy dog. He goes to school with me every day at the school that I work at. The students love him. He is way more popular than any of the staff. He has his own page in the yearbook and just does great things for the students and the staff there. So um, that's Archie. A little bit about my educational background. I started out as a social worker, went to Washburn University, received my bachelor's and master's from Washburn, and later on went back to school to get a master's in school counseling, and then currently working on my building administration certificate through Fort Hays State. As I stated, I started my life as a social worker, worked 10 years with individuals with disabilities. Um, then went on to work in the child welfare setting for 10 years before I went to the school setting. I've been at Jackson City Middle School now for 15 years. The first 6 years I started there, I worked as a school social worker. That's when I went back to get my school counseling degree. In the past year, past 8 years, I've worked as a school counselor. Still there. Love my job, love my school, and just continue to push on there. So, how do we create an inclusive school culture? The first article we read was 7 Ways to Create an Inclusive Classroom Environment. This article discussed the 7 steps to create an inclusive environment in the school. Um, that's providing academic support and resources for all students so they can reach their full potential, training the teachers to have the tools that they need and the resources they need to be effective support for students, selecting an effective curriculum that is able to prepare all the students, integrating the student body through redistricting and developing district boundaries, addressing inequality in the measurement of assessments in diverse student population, developing a respectful community in which staff and students are respectful of the differences among each other. So we're celebrating the differences instead of bringing down each other for our differences. Creating a safe place for students to discuss topics of concern. Uh, this article was supportive, talks about equitable and cultural responsive. The second article was inclusive leadership in education. Inclusive education is understood as a social justice approach to education to ensure all students' um, basic human rights are met and students receive equity. Um, Inclusive leadership builds the education system that reflects diversity and embraces each student, allowing them access and equitable access to education. As you can see, the social justice approach definitely leads right up my alley with my background in social work and school counseling. So this is something I definitely enjoyed learning about throughout this module. 10 reasons for inclusive schools. Um, Equal access to education, learning alongside your peers, focusing on your ability, not disability. Students becoming understanding and accepting of peers, developing relationships with peers because of the time they spend together. So building those relationships with students you might not ever come in contact with or develop relationships with. Uh, Developing confidence in yourself and the world around you because you're able to um, learn based on your experiences and your interactions with others. Teachers are trained and skilled at student-centered curriculum through differentiated activities. So building the curriculum around each student and where they're at in their education. Special education students receive extra supports in the classroom, so pushing services into the classroom versus pulling them out for their services and supports. A variety of resources and assistive technology are available to students, and those are all students that need them. So maybe students don't have special education services but might benefit from some type of assistive technology. So we push it into them in the classroom, just like we would for anybody who might need that. And then value input and participation from the community. What is inclusive education and how can we implement it? Inclusive education is a teaching model, a teaching model where all students learn together in one environment regardless of their ability. Again, inclusive education environment is created when all students have equal rights to education. So everybody's getting the same, or not the same, but they're getting what they need. But we're all together getting what they need in the classroom, but you're with your peers at all times. The classroom is made up of mixed abilities. There's no children separated based on on discrimination. An accessible environment is created, so whatever you need is pushed into the classroom for you. Support is provided to all students to allow them to reach their full potential. So we're creating individual plans for all students, not just for those on IEPs. Inclusive education helps to build students' confidence and improve communication skills in social settings. So we're putting students in social settings all the time, not just the ones who are in general ed settings, but all the students. So special ed students aren't pulled out to a smaller environment, but they're learning to have to communicate and work in social settings all the time, which I think is crucial right now, especially since the pandemic, because social skills is something that a lot of people, not only students, but people are lacking since the pandemic because we kind of pulled away from that when we went down to online learning and the world kind of shut down there for a while. So this is definitely social skills is definitely something that we all need to be working on with our students and others. What is the role of the principal in a successful inclusive schools? The principal's role is critical in implementing change and improving services within the school. Principals are responsible for facilitating change, obtaining staff buy-in into new practices, developing new programs, assigning staff, providing opportunities for staff to plan, and providing data on outcomes. So it's really the principal's job to sell the program, to get the buy-in, and then to help push and share why this is such a critical program. The inclusive school. Inclusive schools create a culture where everyone has access to the same opportunities. This type of educational setting helps students to learn how to be successful and diverse in the changing world. Inclusion allows students to achieve at a higher level as their students that are exposed to a wider range of ideas and experiences. Again, we're putting them in more real life situations by not pulling them to a smaller setting, but putting them in an everyday situation. Let's see if I can move myself here a little bit. All right. Developing an inclusive classroom culture. There are 4 key strategies for developing an inclusive classroom. Value what each student brings. Students have opportunities to share their experiences and connect to their learning. Establish a respectful climate. Students learn to understand and appreciate their peers. Once you learn about somebody, you appreciate them more and you have more respect for them. Plan for everyone to participate and achieve. An environment is created where supports are built into an environment for students to succeed. and then take a community approach and connect the classroom and the community. Um, so it's really, again, putting those life skills into action in the educational setting. I thought I had made room on these slides and just didn't have enough room. Had so much to say. Building an inclusive school culture with equity and access to knowledge. Equity means raising, not compromising expectations for all. So we're really raising the bar to create the best students possible. Best practice says that we understand support deficits will eliminate those excuses. So we're going to create a program that eliminates the excuses, raise every student beyond their own expectations. So we know that they can do it, but let's show them that they can do it, and help them understand that. Customize your program for each student. So again, that individualized program for every student, and then collaborate to find solutions using culture to support achievement. All right. Value of inclusive education. In an inclusive environment, every student feels safe and has a sense of belonging. The studying is instrumental in changing discriminatory attitudes. Um, so if a student's feeling safe, understanding others, and has a sense of belonging, then they're going to have a better attitude, a different attitude than they do if they don't feel included. It also will help with attendance and helping them feel want to achieve because they feel a sense of connectedness and belonging at school. To make inclusive education a reality, we need to make sure that educators have the training, flexibility, and resources to teach students with diverse needs and learning styles. Ensure that kindergartners and schools have the financial support to provide all activities and services to be fully inclusive. Empower parents to assert their children's rights to education. So we need to educate the parents as well to give them the power to make sure that their children's needs are being met. Enable the entire community to work together and create an all-inclusive education for students. Excuse me. Hold government accountable for implementing anti-discrimination legislation, legal mandates, and policies to remove barriers for inclusion. So we're working at every level to make sure everybody's included and feeling a part of uh, the program at the school level, at the parent level, at the community level, and at the legislature level. Creating inclusive schools for all students. Inclusive schools are places where students, regardless of their ability, gender, race, and ethnicity, are a member of the classroom. If services or supports are needed, they are brought to the student in the classroom. There's no exceptions to this rule. Every student is seen as a permanent member of the classroom. So again, we're pushing services and supports into the classroom, not removing the students out of the classroom. Moving towards this type of setting takes a great deal of commitment by the leadership. Excuse me. They must be able to articulate the plan, commit to services being individualized, and pushing into the inclusive classroom. Focus on developing the shared space instead of individualizing space for removing students. So we're looking at how can we make this space work, make it better, make sure we have all services in the shared space versus all the classrooms we need to make smaller settings for removing students. Finally, leaders must ensure teachers get the extensive training to provide the academic and the supports that students need to be successful in this setting. Tips on creating an inclusive school and why it matters. Creating a school that is truly inclusive requires specific strategies and a shift in culture that is shared by all. So it's not only saying we're going to do this, but we got to, like I said, we got to get buy-in, and we got to shift the way of thinking for at every level. So how we do this, we inclusion allows students to gain social and community skills. It inclusive schools experience fewer absences and behavior issues. They have a greater overall acceptance and tolerance, and all students and teachers benefit from having greater support systems. Those are those are why this is so important. Collaboration is the key to effective inclusion and should involve all members, teachers, support staff, family, and community. Inclusive school culture. School culture is defined as the values, expectations, beliefs, and assumptions of all parties, from the students to the administration. To develop an inclusive school culture, everyone must collaborate with the students' best interests and see each student's diversity as a positive attribute. Inclusion requires a strong commitment and belief of all involved. So that's again the buy-in, getting everyone on the board, thinking the same way, believing that um, we're seeing the good, seeing the positive in every student and every person involved. Inclusive education. Inclusive education model is when students of all types of diversity and or disability are fully integrated into the classroom. The classroom is made up of a mix of abilities. Appropriate activities are planned and individualized towards each student's ability. Students have access to services and supports needed in the classroom. So everybody's working on the same curriculum, but individualized towards what they need. And everybody has a different level of what they need. Inclusive leadership appreciates diversity and welcomes everyone's individual contribution while encouraging full engagement with the process of decision making and shaping reality. Inclusive leadership values everyone's individual differences and collaborate for input by others. School leaders' role in developing and maintaining the culture. First of all, leadership's got to lead by example. They have to be the ones out there selling the program, believing, um, and just leading by example. Make sure everyone feels welcomed and a part of the community. Collaborate with staff and ensure that the staff have buy-in. Staff take ownership over the classroom, the school, and the program. Staff and parents are working in partnership. Staff and students treat each other with respect. Students help each other out. They work so that everyone sees others' diversity as who they are and as a positive attribute. Who's what support can a school leader provide to encourage advocacy? Staff leaders can provide training to staff to ensure the knowledge of the program and needs, ensure stakeholders have the information needed to make informed decisions, listen to the students' voices and take into account their background, opinions, and feelings, and then empower and collaborate with community members at all levels. Strategies to implement to ensure equitable treatment. Um, we need to provide training to all staff. That's crucial that staff have the skills and the support that they need to provide students the education and support they need at the individualized levels. Provide plan time for the teaching team so that they can collaborate. You know, if you have all the push-in services, um, it's it's crucial that they work together and feel like a team and that they're not working in isolation, even though they're working in the same room. And then observe social interactions for the relationship building and sense of belonging. How are we changing the negative assumptions? Um, educate the community members and stakeholders on inclusive education. This is for many. This would be a new concept. It's different than mainstreaming. It has a whole different uh, value sets, mindset. So you really have to do that education. That's preloading, getting everybody thinking this way before we even start the process. Reach out to families from the beginning and give them the opportunity to be heard. Get community members and stakeholders involved in the school. Adapt zero tolerance for negative behavior or exclusion, and then model expected behaviors, attitudes, and reactions. Again, being that example, lead by example. All right, here are my concluding thoughts. I have a better understanding of inclusive. I have a better understanding of inclusive school culture because of the research and reading that was completed for this assignment. My educational leadership skills have definitely grown after completing this assignment. The inclusive school culture model is a model that promotes academic, social, and overall growth in students. This model also provides community and support for teachers that they don't always have in a mainstream classroom model. I know in my school we have um, over 100 over 150 staff members, and there's staff at the end of the year that say, I've never even met that staff member because of the way our school set up. Um, it's a big school, so I think um, this model provides that sense of community and support that other schools don't get. Uh, Relevancy. This assignment provides significant learning and thought regarding an idea that I was not really familiar with going into this module. It's something that we have not discussed really at my school. You know, we take the mainstream approach. We pull out to smaller settings for students that need that. Um, I truly believe this concept of inclusive school culture is a wonderful model, and the students who would benefit from this model are more significant than our current model. I do believe that students should be in the classroom with their peers, and support should be pushed into for the students, and the students can also learn from their peers. And we don't really utilize this concept to its fullest potential. We use it with ability like peers when the students work in groups, but we don't use our um, more advanced kids to help teach our less advanced kids, and back and forth. And we definitely don't have our students learning from each other based on experience, life experiences. So it's definitely something that we're lacking. I work in a diverse school district. In that sense, we are inclusive. We're a military-based uh, school, so we have students from all over. We also have uh, lots of diversity within our community. So our administration and our community is very supportive in that sense. But we still pull out services and mainstream for our special education. So we need to work on being more inclusive with our special education program. My personal reflection: this overall concept was not something that I heard a lot about before this assignment. I like the idea. Excuse me. I like the idea of total inclusion, so that all students are working and learning from their peers. I believe that you can learn a lot from each other, from the people that cross your path. I also believe that the push in of services and supports, along with the team concept within the classroom, can provide teachers more support and a sense of community that has been lacking since the pandemic. As a future leader, there are pieces of this I can take away now and begin to work towards, with the students I work with, the groups I work with, and with the teachers I work with. As a future leader, such things, students learning from peers, team concepts, supports, etc. In the future, I would like to be a leader in a program that provides inclusive school culture. I'm sure there will be some issues and challenges with staff buy-in. However, I do believe that the benefits way outweigh the drawbacks. Again, you know, like I said, my background's in social work. counselor approach. So it's definitely right up my alley. Um, I thank you for your time listening to my presentation. I'm sorry it's late getting in there. Technology was not my friend last night getting this on, but I appreciate this time. I look forward to meeting and learning from each of you in the class over the next few weeks. Have a great day.